So here we are, guys, at Shivnarine Chandra Paul Drive. That's the new Amisi restaurant, the new building at the corner of Church Street and Shivnarine Chandra Paul Drive. And this is what, an Anglican church at the corner of Shivnarine Chandra Paul and Regent Street. So guys, what's happening is that Regent Street has become a lot more like Canal Street in downtown Manhattan. It's more like Canal Street in Chinatown because of all of the Chinese businesses that have taken over the city. So what I want to do is to point out for you, if I can remember them, the remaining 7 remaining black-owned businesses on Regent Street. There are only 7 of them, and if I can remember them all, I'll point them out. But this is the source. It's a new building that's been built, constructed in the last 2 years, and it's now open. It's a commercial store. On the other side, WJ Enterprise, that's a hardware store. There are only a few remaining residences, such as this one. Everything else is now commercial and either commercial, residential combined. That's a hardware store. Safeway, another store, and that's the shoe source. That's a shoe store. On this side, we have here a little cafe and a house. WJ Enterprises also on this side. That's on the, what I'm showing you now is the northern side. Then there is RK. This is Can's building, where he has his social rank, Franklin Covey, and his security services. Roshan Khan's building, and a furniture store, Zaina Furniture. Interesting selection of furniture. And of course there are a couple of these homes that are still being used as residences, but as you can see, a lot of them have also been converted into businesses. This is Hamid's. This is a hardware store. Hamid's now has what, 2 or 3 locations on Regent Street. And on the other side, this is a new building that's been completed. I don't know if it's yet operational. It says what, for rent, right? There's a for rent sign on it there. So I know this building's been completed a couple of years now, but it has not yet been occupied. And some more stores. So as I was saying, there are only about 7 businesses left that are on Regent Street that are owned by AfroGuyanese, and most of the operations now are owned by the Chinese. You can see the top of the Best Western Hotel here on Regent Street. As we come to Ornock Street, this is the corner with Ornock Street, there's a security services place, a lot of security places. That's a residential building, tall residential building that's been built in the last, what, 5 years or so, and completed in the last couple of years. But here at the corner of Ornock on Regent Road, you can see this is the Best Western Hotel, and it kind of dwarfs everything in the neighborhood. There's going to be 9 floors, about 150 hotel rooms, and so on. So, and you can see it, of course, on Regent Street and from Regent Street. But here is where the density of commercial buildings goes up, right? This is the office of the opposition. They moved here recently, but as you can see, the buildings get taller because, of course, I pointed out in previous videos, the form factors dictated by the space of land that they build on. It's actually narrow. In fact, the street is narrow, so I don't know if we have room for much growth in this neck of the woods, but the buildings have to become skinny and tall because of the narrow strip of land that they're built on, and to get space you have to go up. So Regent Street is becoming a lot denser, and like I said, because of all of the new Chinese stores, or Chinese buying up a lot of these stores, it's becoming a lot more like Chinatown, right? Regent Street is becoming a lot more like Chinatown, a lot more like Canal Street in Manhattan, Canal Street in downtown Manhattan. So this is Hongzhou Trading Company, an example of a Chinese store. And all of these stores on this side are also now owned by Chinese. If you look closely, you can see the Chinese writing. It's MK Trading Enterprise. Colors. Now, Ideal Printery, I think that's a bookshop, but Colors is a boutique, one of the 7 stores that is owned by AfroGuyanese. So Colors Boutique is owned by AfroGuyanese. There used to be a bookstore in this neck of the woods. I think that was also owned by AfroGuyanese, but I don't see its location now. This is a general store. Amanda's. This one is a hardware store, quite popular now. There's Daddy's. There's a boutique or clothing store in this building that is run by AfroGuyanese. There's Mike's Pharmacy at the corner here of this tall building. This is another building that's being built by the Chinese. This has been built during the pandemic, completely during the pandemic. It's a Chinese general store now at the corner of, this is Albert Street. This building is also being run by the Chinese. There's a paint store in there, Turganol Paints, but next door it's a Chinese store. So as you get deeper into Regent Street, you'll see a lot of these buildings are now fully owned and operated by Chinese. This one, for example, Young Lee store, Chinese stores, hardware store. Because of course today is Sunday and Easter Sunday in Guyana, a lot of the traffic is reduced, which is a good thing. Now here we are, this is what, the second or the third business that is owned by AfroGuyanese. Right, there's a nursery school here that's run by the Ojons. Right, there's a private school behind this residence that is run by the Ojons. That is the second or the third black owned Afro-Guyanese owned business, but everything else along here is probably owned by the Chinese now. So this is my point. The point is that Regent Street has become a lot more like Canal Street in Manhattan. There is Bai Hu Trade, there is China store, and on this side, okay, this is Ashok's variety store, and a few smaller furniture stores as we approach Light Street. Right, this blue building is also Chinese household electrical store, and on the other side is another Chinese clothing store. They sell knockoff shoes and stuff, and a lot of the business being done on Sundays is being done by the Chinese because of course they don't necessarily have the same cultural practices as the Guyanese. This is Light Street. You can see some new buildings going up there. That building is interesting. I'll probably do a video on it sometime. That building at the corner of Robb Street and Light Street, that used to be Nigel's supermarket. I think it's now Andrew's supermarket. It's now under new ownership, and it's been operating for the last 6 months, since August last year. Take a look at inside at some point in future. But like I said, these are now buildings that are now operated and owned by Chinese. There's a 1-hour photo studio here. There's a service center for cars. On this side, this is another Chinese store, especially if you find it open on Sundays, you know it's a Chinese store. So a lot of Regent Street, now this part you see, there's still homes or buildings that are in the original size and form as residences, but now a lot of these buildings are homes or being rented to Brazilian and Venezuelan neighbors who've moved into the city in the last 2 or 3 years, right? So a lot of people who have moved to Guyana from South America end up living on Regent Street or living close to Regent Street because they tend to work in the stores here on Regent Street. So a lot of these stores, as you can see, they're owned by Chinese now. They're Chinese-owned clothing stores and general stores and hardware stores. This is Canai's Electrical. This store has been here, that is under Canai's, for a long time. They actually have 2 locations here on Regent Street. Canai's Electrical, that's not Chinese. But as you can see, as the city changes, it's becoming, this street, Regent Street, is becoming a lot more influenced in terms of architecture. This building, for example, has been recently completed. That is now run by Chinese, owned by Chinese retailers. This is Cumming Street, and next block there is the Border Market. That tall building in the background, that is Amazon Trading. And on this side, all of these stores now are more or less Chinese retail. Why this, for example, is Household Plus isn't, but Honda hardware store, that's also Chinese. And a lot of these clothing stores are now run by Chinese. They might have some Cuban and Venezuelan store clerks, but Chinese owned. That's Border Market. This is Bounty Supermarket at the corner of Orange Walk and Regent Street. See, the kites are out there, Easter. So that's what's happening here, guys. This is what's happening at Regent Street. These are the changes that are happening here. We come to Orange Walk and Regent. These are the changes that are happening here in Georgetown, Guyana on a Sunday morning. As you can see, this is now a very popular street for sport and fun and fed. When you have football and cricket and so on, people come out here to hang out and meet up because there are a number of bars on this street. So that's it, guys. This is how things are changing. That's the post office, that's Border Market. We've done a few tours of the Border Market interior in the past, but this is it. This is what's happening. If you want to see more content, click like and subscribe, share this video with friends and family around the world. Let people know how things are changing here on Regent Street in Georgetown, Guyana. I will continue in the next video, so stay tuned. Later.